Today's drawing is really simple. We're going to do some mittens holding a hot cup of coffee. I think on this photo, the steam from the coffee is added on in Photoshop, but that's okay. You can leave it in or leave it out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. In fact, I might turn it into cocoa or tea. I don't know. But I wanted to stop my drawing right here because I want to show you guys, get a better pencil that you can see. I want to show you guys how I do my drawings. When you are making a circle for the coffee cup. Ooh, that's way too dark. What was I thinking there? Where is... All right, never mind. We're just going to use a regular pencil and I'll go a little bit harder. So when you're drawing an elliptical shape, when I get about that much done, and then I'm going to turn it upside down. And then I'll pick it up here on this side and put my hand back this way and come from this angle. And that's a good way to get it even. Because if it looks a little wonky, your eye will catch it. And I like to look at it from several different angles. Because now it's an oval, like an oval mirror. And for the coffee, what you can do, got a little straight edge here. Yep, that's good. That's right on the horizon right there. And then we're going to try and get these to meet up here. Again, turning it around. That's pretty good. And now because a cup isn't, it's thick, it has a rim. So we're going to add the rim here and then bring this side down. Same as this here. And again, you can turn it upside down to check that you're parallel. Now for the mittens, it's really just a series of shapes of curved lines. So I'm going to start with this thumb over here. This is kind of the tip of the thumb here. And then it comes down this way. I think it does. I might have to look at the picture again. And there's a curve here for this mitten. The knuckles would be right about here. And we're just going to kind of make that disappear back there. I'm not sure I like where I placed that. Same thing over here. We've got the tip of the thumb. And then the mitten comes around and hangs onto the coffee. And on this hand, the knuckles would be right about here. And again, we're just going to have that disappear. Okay, now we're at the part where we're going to erase the lines that we don't need, which means I need my eraser. Got this one. This is my needed eraser that's not really needed. It's drying out really badly. I need to get a new one, but I think we can use it for this purpose here. So this hand is going to kind of do that. And we'll fix that with shading when we get to the painting. And then this one over here is going to come down this way, and we won't need this part. Okay, so fun part now, we're going to use our big mop brush, our cat's tongue, and we're going to avoid the white of the mug. But I am going to go in and just get this first mitten all wet. do this wet on wet. And I am going to let that water go just a little bit beyond the mitten because mittens are kind of fuzzy. Alrighty. I have this, my Mungyo gallery paints out, and I thought I'd go ahead and use them again because they've been kind of fun. I just need to, there's so many of them. I'm used to having just a few paints that you have to mix, but this is kind of fun to just play and not have to mix. So I'm going in with this blue, and I'm sorry I don't know the name of it right offhand, but it looks to me like a cerulean or a manganese. And we're just gonna keep the paint darkest where the mittens would be darker. So if the light is up top, just to make it easy, down here would be, this part would be really dark. The top of the mitten, and then we'll just let that go off. There. All right, now continuing this over, because the model in the picture has a sweater on that is kind of the same color as the mittens, so we'll let all that blue run together. Now normally I would not leave the lines. I don't have room for this enormous palette on my on my desk. Normally I wouldn't leave room, or excuse me, I wouldn't have all these lines so dark, but I wanted you guys to see how I color, how I draw. Geez, can't talk today. What's new, right folks? Bringing that blue out. All right, I kind of like that. All right. Intensify this blue a little bit in some spots. Just putting on another wash, and that's okay. I got into the burnt sienna, so we'll just use that for we'll mix the burnt sienna with this blue to make a nice gray. And that works out so well. It's always a better idea to mix your grays than to go in and just use a gray that's convenient, because you'll have a much more dynamic painting if you mix your colors. Okay. I'm just going to pull this blue onto the mug here, because that is going to end up being just a fine level of shading for us. Some of the same gray down here. And we'll just have it on this side. All right, now for a good coffee brown. Not that one. Let's try this one. Yeah, I'm gonna mix a little bit of blue with that to darken it up. That's not working. These colors, I don't have them labeled, so it does make it a little bit more challenging for me. Let's add some of this dark here too. There we go. Now it's looking more like coffee. Like the way I drink my coffee anyway, which is jet black. Now I am being careful not to let this leach into the mug area. So I'm using kind of a careful hand here, and I see I've already got it is leaching in. So I'm going to have to hit that with the heat tool and come back. I think this coffee needs, instead of steam, it's a few bubbles. All right, now, where was the blue we were using? It was this one. Third one in. I'm going to mix some of that blue with some indigo. Kind of darken it up a little bit. Make a nice denim-y blue. And we're going to fill this shadow in here. Some more of that dark blue, and let's just get kind of a mitten-y pattern in here. We don't have to replicate the cable knit, but we can do something to make it look a little more mitten-like. And before I move on to the pastels, I do want to get a little bit more of this, this darkest brown in here. For the coffee. Now typically coffee has all the bubbles around the edge. A few more bubbles over here. There you go. And while that's still wet, I'm going to drop in some very dark brown. Okay. Now for our cup. Make sure I got a clean brush here. I see I got a little bit overzealous with this. So I'm just going to get that wet and try and lift it out a little bit. Perfect. All right. Now we need just a little bit of that blue mixed in with brown to create another gray. There we go. Very watery. And in fact, I'm going to splay out my bristles, and I do that by just turning it on my palette. I'm going to just put some streaks in the mug, just to try and give it some texture. And down here it'll dissolve into the blue. Need to get a mitten shadow in there too. There we are. Trying to do is lift those up a little. There we go. That ought to do it. Hold the boat. right. Now what we have is the mittens in the hand kind of coming out of the mittens in the hands and the coffee cup coming out of the shadows to warm you up and offer you a nice cup of coffee. I'm looking for my pastels. Oh, ooh, these might be fun. These are old, but they should work. Whoop, these are Conte pastel pencils. So adjust my sharpener, and we'll go in with the oh, I've got some grays. Yeah, these. Okay, gray. Oh, maybe no, they're not here. Darn it! What did I do with my pastel pencils, kids? All right, I know these will give us some of what we want here. Let's try going in here and just making this a little darker. And then where the shadow will be the deepest, don't do that, and you're gonna want something like this. I'm gonna use a paper stump blender. Okay. And now let's see here. Some highlights on the knit texture here. I am so used to blending pastel with my fingers that this is a little strange for me to not use my fingers. All right, get some of this teal blue in here. And we'll mix that with the medium gray. And bring that up into the mitten. And now we can go here with the light blue. I'm kind of just skimming the pastel across the paper, excuse me, across paper, and going kind of in between the dark lines that I did, trying to create a rib knit of sorts. This one I'm going to go right in with that darker shadow. For that portion. Mix some blue in there. And then come out here with that mid-gray. I think this pastel is lending itself very well to creating the suggestion of knit. This thumb is kind of disappearing. It's like you're looking at it like this and it's disappearing back in there. So trying to establish this shadow down here. So now what we're going to do is use that lightest gray and come, I need a little paper towel here so I don't smudge. The lightest gray there and here. And then we'll come in with the medium gray. Oops. Here's my light gray. I'm sorry. Now the medium gray, which we've already done, and then now we'll add this darkest shadow. Dark here towards the cup. But then over here, I'm going to add some blue, just so that when it mixes, hopefully, it'll be the right shadow. Looks like I need to darken that just a little bit. Now I've got that little bit of gray on my stump here. Kind of blend that up. Into the front of the mittens. All right, I'm liking that. There. Just adding some of that teal in there. Kind of like how that looked over here. So we'll replicate it on this mitten here. All right, and the same here with the cuffs. I'm going to come in and just kind of do a little bit of suggestion something's here. And then I'm pretty much going to smudge the whole thing out with my finger. I just want to give that feeling that that area is a more concentrated knit right there. Do you guys knit? I have knit and I am capable of knitting, but it's been a long time. There. I like that a lot. Now, let's look at, you know what, I am going to have to pause it because I've got to find a white pastel pencil. I'll be right back. It was on the shelf with my watercolors. I can't get organized. It's impossible. It's just not in my DNA. All right, now we're going to go over this edge here to try and give the cup that highlight around the edge. And it's a little bit challenging because we did draw our mug so darkly. So we'll just do the best we can. Go in and put some highlights on these bubbles. Just a little bit around the lighter portions of the coffee there. Just kind of scumbling the pencil along. Now, I want to use the lightest gray and come in and make a shadow right under the rim of that mug. That'll help that white stand out. And we'll do it here as well. You want to keep your lines going along that curve, because even though we're blending it, you can still see some of the lines when we're done. But see how by putting that shadow in, it made the highlight around the rim stand out a little bit better, especially over here. Just enhance that just a touch. When you know it, I blended right on top of that. But that's the good thing about pastels, is you can put light over dark. Speaking of light, let's go in here and add just a little bit to the tops of these mittens. Where's that darkest gray? Enhance this shadow just a little. And there you have it. It's that easy. There are your mittens and hot cocoa. Or hot chocolate, coffee. Coffee in this case. I like how the cauliflower bloom resulted there. It gave it a nice, interesting texture. Really added to the watercolor effect of all of this. I've got another background over here that I really like, and down here there's just a nice flow of water. I really like this one, and I hope you do too. Let me get out my pen here, and I hope this makes you feel a little more in the holiday spirit if you aren't already. I know it does me. It makes me want to put some whipped cream on that and drink it up. That's the only time of year I have whipped cream on my coffee, is at Christmas time. Okay, folks, everybody take care. We'll see you soon. Happy holidays.